We evaluated those answers, and some of them were answers that we liked, some of them were answers that we didn't like, and we aired everything out, and that's how we derived to today. So with that, I'm going to pass this out, and it's a great honor and privilege to announce former Councilman Christiansen. Thank you very much.
Well, I feel like I know everybody here, so, you know, I'm a little rusty, so don't be too tough on me today, if you don't mind, okay? Marshall, please, okay? Kevin, yeah. I'm here today to let you know, let the citizens of Tulsa know, as I just let Mayor Bartlett know via phone call, that I would not be endorsing him for his candidacy for mayor, for re-election in the city of Tulsa. I will not support him, and I will not endorse him. And let me tell you why I made that determination. In my very humble opinion, I don't believe he has the conservative values that I have. And just some examples of that, you know, he pushed for a permanent increase in the city sales tax rate, which I greatly objected to. And thank goodness the city council saw the light and didn't allow that to happen. He proposed a business license fee, and again, that didn't happen. But it's always this deal. Well, let's create more revenue for the city of Tulsa. He has constantly worked to grow city government. His budget proposals are some of the highest in the history of the city of Tulsa. So from my standpoint, he really isn't a conservative Republican like some people think he is. The next area that has always given me great concern is that, in my opinion, in many instances, he's been an absentee mayor. And let me just give you some examples. You know, when I was on the council, the last 2 years I was on the council, and Mayor Bartlett was the mayor, people would come to me and they would talk about the terror issue, the trash issue, they would talk about the water issue, they would talk about zoning issues, and various sundry things. So I did some checking because, you know, the mayor of Tulsa has a seat on all of those boards. He has a seat on the TAIR board. He has a seat on the Tulsa Metropolitan Utility Authority. He has a seat and is a member of INCOG's board, the Indian Nation's Council of Government. So I did some checking, and his attendance record was abysmal. It was horrible. And he was missing meetings or sending surrogates that sometimes showed up and sometimes didn't show up to board meetings that were making critical decisions about the citizens' quality of life in the city of Tulsa. So, you know, I accepted that, and I thought, well, you know, his reasoning was, I believe he said he was extremely busy and couldn't make those meetings. But then I find out, you know, after I'm off the city council, I think it was Channel 8 that did a story where Mayor Bartlett admitted that he was still working his other job, which was president of, I think, an oil company. You know, so in my humble view, again, I believe that when the citizens elect mayor, under a strong mayor form of government, that mayor needs to be dedicated to the citizens of Tulsa and dedicate his or her time 100% of the time. I don't think it's right for a mayor to be working another job. So that's another reason why I just feel it's impossible for me to endorse or support him. When Josh and I met with Mayor Bartlett the other day, we met with him on Monday morning at 8 a.m. It was Josh and myself, and it was Mayor Bartlett, and it was his campaign manager, Dan Patton. And so we talked for a little while, we talked about some issues, and then I said, well, can you give me a copy of your platform? You know, candidates have a platform. It's kind of a pledge, it's kind of gives people an idea of what the future may bring and what some future ideas they may have and some future initiatives that they may want to do. Well, guess what, folks? He doesn't have a platform. And I find that totally unacceptable. I think that the mayor needs to be straightforward with the citizens, tell them what he's going to do, tell them what his thoughts are, and have a platform. He did say in that meeting on Monday that he would send me a list of things, and I never got it. Again, in my opinion, after being on the council for 10 years and serving with different mayors, I believe his administration has no accountability. And I say that because I don't think the citizens have been able and kept properly informed by his administration. You know, I hate to use the word transparency, but that's what it comes down to. And I do know that there's several media outlets that are here today that have requested time and time and time again open record requests, and there's been delay after delay after delay. And in my opinion, that's not fair. That's not right. That's not doing the job. Can I have my water, Judge?
Yep.
The next area that really bothered me, and that I really feel obligated to bring up, is that, you know, the mayor of Tulsa has a seat on the EMSA board. It's a combination of Oklahoma City, Edmond, Tulsa people, you know, that are on this board. And I know, and Kevin will remember this, but, you know, the Tulsa World did a tremendous, I guess you might say, investigative reporting articles on the EMSA spending that was going on with the money that was being paid by the people, partially the people in Tulsa that pay this EMSA fee on their utility bill every month. And it was, in my opinion, some just out of this world spending that lessened the confidence in city government by the citizens of Tulsa. Well, a while back, his surrogate, his appointee, the person that sits in his seat as the mayor of Tulsa, voted to give this gentleman who was spending this money a 6% pay increase. And I found that totally in the face of good, reasonable, conservative government to allow this gentleman to have a pay raise after he readily spent taxpayer dollars that he shouldn't have spent. So again, it comes down to conservative values and watching every dime that the citizens put into the city. There's only a couple more. I'll get through this as quick as I can. Dewey has said recently that when he took over, the city was on the verge of bankruptcy. Now, I will tell you that I think it is irresponsible to tell the world, and it is wrong, that the city of Tulsa was near bankruptcy. That doesn't send a good signal to future economic development. It doesn't send a good signal to people that live here. It doesn't send a good signal to the potential people that want to move here. It's just an inappropriate thing to say. But I want to read to you a news release Mayor Bartlett put out in February of 2010. And this is a quote from Mayor Bartlett. Now keep in mind, he's now saying the city almost went bankrupt. And Mayor Bartlett said, quote, "It should be clear that the economic problems that we are experiencing are the result of declining revenues due to the national recession, not any express actions by the current or previous administrations. Both the Bartlett and Taylor administrations have collectively reduced our annual expenses by $25 million. Now correct me if I'm wrong, he says this, but now he's saying that the city was near bankruptcy. I think it is totally inappropriate and irresponsible for any elected official to use the word bankruptcy in the city of Tulsa in a sentence. Because under the Oklahoma Municipal Budget Act, we all know that the city is not going to go bankrupt. Do you have to make adjustments to the budget? Do you have to cut expenses? Sure you do. But it's not going bankrupt. And for someone to say publicly that the city of Tulsa is going bankrupt, once again, in my opinion, is irresponsible and should not be said by the city mayor of Tulsa. And then my next and last thing is that, during the campaign, I well realize that politics is politics. I have thick skin. Dewey said things about me, I said things about Dewey, I said things about Kathy, she said, it just goes back and forth. And I understand that. But during the campaign, Mayor Bartlett and his campaign staff said very negative things and attacked my wife. And folks, I take that very seriously. And you know what? I take that personally. I don't take the other stuff personally. I'm a big boy. I signed up for it, and I understand it. But to go after a family member of mine in public and say things that were not true, I consider to be reprehensible. So I want that known, that that occurred, and I am very unhappy about it. Now, I'm sure that with this press conference today, that Mayor Bartlett will get back to his negative campaigning, and he will start attacking me again, and I'm sure he'll go after his opponent in a great way between now and November. But I would just like to send Mayor Bartlett a message to make sure that your team does not go after my wife. I didn't go after his wife. I would expect that he not say negative things about my wife. And I think all the women in Tulsa should take a good hard look at that action, because that to me was the most reprehensible part of the campaign. One other thing, and then I'll just open it up for questions. Mayor Bartlett has been asking for my endorsement. And I did say previously that I would endorse him. But I will tell you, that's before he and his campaign went after my wife. So yeah, things have changed, and things have changed because, in my opinion, his campaign was irresponsible when they decided to include my wife in the negative discussions. And I'm not 100% certain of this, but he's asked for my endorsement as a former city councilor and a mayoral candidate. Where are all the other Republican councilors, Tulsa city councilors, that have served with Mayor Bartlett over these last 3.5 years? Have any of them endorsed him? Can you think of one of them that's endorsed him? That's just a question. Because I believe the answer is no, I don't think so. Now, everybody's got to do a little soul searching and figure out why that is. So now I'll just open it up for questions.
Bill, it sounds like it's as much personal as it is policy. Is it policy or is it personal?
It's policy, but when he brought my wife into it, Marshall, it did get personal. But it's policy. I believe he's a tax and spend liberal. What do they call them? Rhinos, Republican in name only. I really do believe that. But yeah, Marshall, when he brought my wife into it, you betcha, it's personal. It is. I'm human,
You're not going to support or endorse him, so on election day, are you just going to set it out, or will you go in that booth and vote for somebody or skip the mayor's race, or what's that?
No, I will sit out. I will always vote. I'm a Marine, so I'll always vote. But I really want to see what kind of rhetoric comes out from the Bartlett administration these last 45 or 60 days, and also what Mayor Taylor has to say. I'm not endorsing Mayor Taylor at this time, but I am telling you publicly that I am not endorsing Dewey Lemon.
You said on KFAQ that you gave your word on KFAQ on Pat Campbell's show that you would endorse Dewey, and Dewey said that he would endorse you after the primary. And then I believe you went on KJRH and said, basically said the same thing, that you would keep your word because you're a Marine. How do you couch that to folks today?
I couch that to votes, John, because he went after my wife in a personal way. And I take great exception to that. I really do. And he and his campaign should have never done that. Let's reverse it. Let's say he went after your wife. Would you like it? Would you just go, oh, that's okay, and just let it go? I don't think so, John. So yeah, I did say that, okay? But that's before he went after my wife. And that is the big issue. If he hadn't gone after my wife, we probably wouldn't be here today, because I'm a Republican, and I'm a conservative Republican. But for him to do something like that is off the radar screen for me. So that's why I did it, and I will defend it to the hilt.
As a conservative Republican, what is the realistic possibility that you would endorse Kathy Taylor for mayor?
I don't know the answer to that yet. I really do want to see what substantive issues did each candidate talk about in the future, so I don't know. I wouldn't lay odds on that at all.
Bill, can I rephrase the question? What reasons would you have right now for not endorsing Kathy Taylor?
Because I'm a Republican.
Nonpartisan race?
You're right. That was my next comment. It's a nonpartisan race. That's right. Yeah, it is. I will see how it goes and see what candidate I feel has the best platform. And at this current time, the Republican candidate admitted to me on Monday, they don't have a platform. So I'll leave that decision for 30 or 45 days from now.
What if at the end of the day you find that you really can't endorse either one of them?
Well, I tell you, having been on the council for 10 years, been through several elections, I have full faith and confidence in the citizens of Tulsa to make the right decisions. They obviously thought they made the right decision when they didn't vote for me, but I have confidence in the citizens. I think they get it right all the time.
So then if you put it on the citizens, you won't endorse anybody?
Possibly, yes.
What would you say to the people who supported you moving forward? Obviously, someone has to be mayor. They're obviously going to be looking for leadership in November. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to listen to what I said today, but just go out and get as much information and ask the hard questions that you can, and just vote the way you want to vote. That's what I would say. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.